Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show, y'all. Now, Cynthia goes back to work, and at the direction of her supervisors, she gives Big 50 a phone number. And that phone number is monitored constantly by the feds. Also, they're going to use this phone to try to somehow or other tap into his phone to find out who all he calls. They got that type of technology, y'all, believe it or not. Believe it or not. So, Big 50 comes to the desk and he's talking to her. He gets the number and all this and that, right? And she said, "Don't be calling me about no nonsense." And he said, "What is nonsense to you?" Like, keep in mind, when you're in the penitentiary, you get lonely sometimes, So you just want to have that talk, Hear this, hear that, get wet, this, that, and the third, right? And she understands that because she's a woman, he's a man, and she understands this environment. So she's trying to figure out how does she avoid that? Because she knows this conversation, every conversation is going to be monitored. So she's trying to figure out what does she have to do to avoid that. So she's sitting there, she's having to talk with him about the limits, the restrictions, and all of these different types of things. And he tells her, for the first time, forcefully, he don't respond to any limits or restrictions. His name Big 50. He do what he want to do. Everybody else, fall in. Fall in. Now, on one level, if under different circumstances, if he were an honest man, she could see herself kicking it with somebody like this. He didn't look bad. He had charisma and all this and that, and he was a strong-willed person, understood what he wanted out of life, but he's going in the wrong direction for somebody like her. So she allows herself to imagine what it would be like so that she can continue to play this role for him and make him believe that she's interested. This is all about the investigation. And she said, "Well, we'll see. We'll see." Now he feels like he's in now. He gets on down, he leaves, and she goes to check on her cousin. And see, this particular day that she goes to check on her cousin, she discovers that he's high. This is the first time she's seen him high. And he's erratic. He don't want to talk to her. He's ashamed. "Get away from me. Why are you over here? You can't keep coming over here. You keep coming over here, everybody going to start to wonder something." She said, "I go to every cell. I'm an officer. I can do this." But see, he's under the influence and he's panicking. He's ashamed. And she tells him, say, "Cuz, you're going to be all right." And she asked him, she said, "Do you want me to get you sent somewhere so you can get some help?" He's like, "Nah, I don't want no help. I'm good. If I could just get them to leave me alone, I could kick this." So she starts to think, I got to help him. Because in a situation like that, sometimes you don't always come out of that. Sometimes you don't always kick the habit. The habit takes you down. And she's concerned about her cousin. She remembers when they were growing up together before they moved away to Arkansas, that they used to kick it all the time at the house and have fun as kids. And now here he is in the penitentiary on the other side of the law from her, and he's an addict. He's an addict. And it hurts her. And when she leaves the cell, two individuals come over there. And they go in the cell and they're in and out pretty quick. And she assumes that they just dropped off something, and she doesn't even go to interfere. She understands the environment that she's in. She completes her shift pretty much, without any more controversy and all this and that. And as soon as she gets in the car, on her way home, the phone rings. She looks at it, she sees that it's a number she doesn't recognize, and she remembers she gave the number to Big 50. This must be it. So she notices on her phone that a red button came on and let her know under surveillance. So they let her know that they were listening as well. So she answered the phone after the third ring. She said, "Hello?" He said, "What's up, baby?" She said, "I'm not your baby. Don't call me your baby. He said, oh, you want to play hard to get. If you were really about that, you wouldn't have gave me the number. And under normal circumstances, that would be true, but he don't know that he's being played. So she's like, you right. You right. What's going on with you? You can't even let a girl get home. He said, nah, I want you, when you get home, I want some milk. And he says, you know, let's just go on and skip all the formalities and all this and that, right? I need you to let me see what's really going on with you. I got plans for you. I'm trying to put some things together, and I got to know if I can trust you. And she says, you can trust me? He said, no. I got to have proof of that. And she said, proof? He said, like, yeah. He said, you know, like when they kidnap somebody and then before they get the ransom, they send them a picture of the person, you know what I'm saying, holding up a newspaper, saying proof of life and all this and that, and they can verify. He said, I need proof of your loyalty to me. And she said, how can I give you proof of loyalty to you? He said, I want a picture. She said, I can't do that. I work for the Department of Corrections. I can't do that. He said, right, I understand that. But see, he said, you can't work for both. You either work for me or you work for them. And if you work for me, you do what I ask and you come back to work tomorrow. If you work for them, don't show up to work tomorrow. So for the first time, she feels the weight of this situation and the seriousness of who she's dealing with. She's starting to understand how individuals get caught in this web, you see. So she, being the good undercover agent, she says, what kind of picture you want? He said, use your imagination and then I'll tell you when you're right. She said, okay. So she said, hold on a sec. He said, oh, you gonna do it now? She's like, yeah. So she snaps a picture of herself driving, smiling, you know what I'm saying? You know, being flirtatious. Sends it to him. He said, that's a good start, but that's not the type of picture that I want. She said, well, look, I'm not about back and forth. Tell me what type of picture you're talking about. And he says to her, you know what kind I want? I want to see something. I want you to spread it. She's like, huh? Excuse me? She said, I don't do that with anybody. I don't do those types of pictures. And he said, you remember what I told you? You either work for me or you work for them. I need proof of your loyalty. So she said, you're going to have to wait till I get home. And she said, I got to go. She hung up the phone. Now she's panicking. Immediately, she dials her supervisors, the people that are her handlers. And she said, did you hear this? And they were like, yeah. So she said, I can't do that. I won't do that. And they tell her, no, we don't want you to do that. But we're already working on something that you can send them. Just hold on. So she gets off the phone with them. By the time she gets home, she sees a message on her phone that says, an attachment. And beneath it, before she opens it, she said, the message on it says, please forgive us, but remember, this is an investigation. They didn't want her to think that this is something that they approved of, but this is something that they had to do. So she gets out of the car, and as she's walking into the house, she pops it and opens it up, and it's a female, about the same complexion, legs spread wide open, pink. You understand what I'm saying? Wet, fat. You feel me? Oh man. And she looks at it and disgust runs all over her, right? But she laughs. So like, oh, okay. That part. So she picks up and dials the number and calls her supervisor. She said, oh, so you use your imagination and this is what you came up with? Why couldn't it just been a panty shot or anything like that, right? And they was like, look, let's just go all the way to the end. If it's not good enough, he'll say what he wants. But we're going to go all the way to the end. We're men. We pretty much know what he's talking about. And we apologize, but I think you know what he's talking about as well. That's what he told them. So She said, "You sure he's not going to be able to know that this was Photoshop?" And they said, "No, some of our best technicians put this together. He's going to think it's you." She sends it to him. He hits back. "That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about." Said, "I call you in an hour. I want to hear something." She hits him back on the text, "Hear something?" She's not used to that type of jargon, when you're dealing with somebody in the penitentiary, So he's like, "Yeah, I want to hear something." So now she's panicking. And her supervisors are hearing the same thing. They don't know what to tell her now. All they tell us, like, "Look, what you're going to have to do is just play along and just keep telling them you don't feel comfortable. You got keep coming up with different excuses why you can't do it and all this and that, right? And if he asks for any more pictures, we'll already have something ready and we'll forward them to you and you shoot them to him, okay?" And she was like, "Okay." So an hour passes by. She's frantic, panicked, don't know what to do. How do you deal with this situation and all this? She don't know what to say to him. So he calls her. He's like, "Hey, baby." So she plays along. "Hey, how you doing?" She don't call him baby, though. He says, "What you got on?" And she describes what she's got on. Big mistake. Big mistake. So he says, "Send me a pic." And she said, "I don't really feel like getting up and taking no pics." He said, "Just send me a pic. You laying in the bed." And then within seconds, a picture pops up on her phone from her supervisors of a woman that looks like her laying in the bed, but she can tell it's not her. So she texts her supervisors back and says, "He's going to know that's not me." And he can hear her texting. And he said, "Who you texting?" She said, "No, one of my girlfriends." He said, "Tell him you busy. I don't like people to interrupt me when I'm talking to somebody." She was like, "Oh, you demanding, selfish, huh?" He was like, "Yeah, about my women." She said, "Oh, I'm your woman now." He was like, "Do you want to be?" She didn't respond to that. She's still trying to play him to the left on all of that. He said, "Where's my pic?" She says, "Hold on." So she takes a picture of herself laying in the bed from the waist up. The waist up, And he can't see what he wants to see. He said, "Okay, I'll deal with that." He said, "I can tell you kind of embarrassed, but based on that first picture, you look like you ready." He said, "Is that a new picture, or is that something you had in your phone?" So she capitalized on it. She said, "I had that in my phone." He said, "Who'd you have it in your phone for?" She said, "I had it in my phone for you." She said, "Oh, so it's people like me that you just come up and talk to, and then you end up giving a number, and then you start to send these pictures." She's starting to notice he's sounding erratic. He sounded like he's one of those people that's real possessive. He asked, he said, "How many more pictures you have in your phone?" She said, "Just a couple." He said, "Send them to me." And before she could realize what was going on, she done found herself in a trap. She didn't have no pictures in her phone, but a couple of pictures popped up real quick from her supervisors, and she sent them to him. He's like, "Why ain't none of these pictures got your face on them?" He said, "I want to see you." And he said, "All of you." He said, "Get up out of the bed and go into the restroom. Go into your restroom. Go into your bathroom. Get in front of the mirror. Get in front of the mirror. I want you to take a picture of yourself." She goes into the restroom because she feels trapped. She goes into the restroom. She takes a picture of herself. Then he hits her. He says, "Turn around." And she turns around. She takes another picture. She's got on a purple negligee that goes right past her knees. And she's got on a thong, a matching thong, purple and black, with the bra. And he sees all of this. And now he starts to feel like he has some control. He pushed her to the point to where she couldn't rely on anything and anybody else but herself, because she was afraid that it was going to blow the investigation. And in the back of her mind, what she's thinking about is her career. What do I do? These pictures that my supervisor is sending me is not good enough. He's going to know. He's going to know. This is what she's playing in her mind. So she sends her own pics of herself. And this is what he wanted. And then when she goes back into the bedroom, she lays down and she yawns. He said, "You tired?" She was like, "Yeah, I've had a long day. I got up early." She says, "I got to get up early and come back to work." He said, "Well, I'm going to let you go then, but we'll do this another night. Understood?" And she said with a reluctant voice, he said, "Yeah, I understand." He said, "You don't sound like you excited." She said, "I don't really even know you. And I feel like you're forcing me to do something that I don't want to do." And he responded like a narcissist would. "That's what I do. I'm going to make you like it. Even if you say you don't like it, you're going to like it." She said, "I got to go." She hung up the phone before he even said anything. And she laid her in the bed and she got to thinking about how all of the people that he had been manipulating and using all these years, she got to thinking how easy it is, you know what I'm saying, for a person to get trapped like this. She realized how persuasive he could be. And everything that she was doing was for play. She can only imagine that if you have a real life problem going on, you can't pay your rent, a child needs to go to the doctor and you're short of money, or you've crossed the line and you don't want to do it anymore and he says you're going to do it anyway. She can only imagine the pressure that they had to endure and go through, and then decide that they have to do this for the betterment of the situation and their family. Because she's making these determinations based on this investigation. She wants this investigation to succeed. And she's crossing lines. So she calls her supervisor. And they try to console her. They tell her, "You're doing good, this, and that. Nobody will ever see these pictures outside of who's in this office now." And she said, "How many people are in the office, including the techs?" And he told her 8. She said, "So 8 people that I don't even know have seen me with my negligee, my night clothes on." And they tried to continue to reassure us that this would never, ever go outside of this office. "You're doing a great job. Keep it up. And when we take him down, it's going to be worth it." And she says, "I hope so. I hope so." She gets off the phone and she lays there in the bed, and as she's dozing off to sleep, she's starting to think about, how easy it would be and how hard this is becoming for her. What's going to happen when he asks for more and more? What do you do? These are the questions that she's asking herself. What do you do? And then on top of that, she's got a cousin in the pod that's an addict. She wants to help him. And the best way she can help him is to take Big 50 down. He's got to go. Him and his whole crew all across the state. This is going to be big. This is going to be big. So she turns her phone off and she dozes off to sleep. She wakes up the next morning, bright and early, getting ready to go to work, and she turns her phone on and messages are popping through from Big 50. He's been up all night texting her, and she could tell how in each text he's getting more and more aggravated. And she decides this guy is a lunatic. He's a lunatic. But she has to deal with him for the time being. So she texts him back, and she tells him, "I had the phone off so I could get some sleep. I'll be there in a few." He hits her right back. "Don't ever do that to me again. Don't ever turn that phone off again. I need to be able to get in touch with you whenever." She don't even respond. She shakes her head as she's driving down the road. You want to know how this continues to play out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, y'all. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.